So
Oh,
Tony,
now we're getting into
the really hard.
We're getting into the murder now.
Yeah.
Because we were just talking, dancing around the easy stuff. Now we're talking about dead people.
The first of those being, case in point, Patience and Martin Thayer. Patience and Martin Thayer were two wealthy Clevelanders who owned a luxury speed yacht. And then one day, their bodies wash up on shore right about where the star is up there. And investigation ensues. And at first they're thinking, oh, a robbery? Somebody wanted to climb on board and rob this yacht of whatever valuables might have been on it. And while they were there, they killed Martin and Patience. But that didn't really make a lot of sense, and that didn't pan out. And then, finally, as things unfold, Martin and Patience had loaned their speed yacht to the feds to do some bust some rum runners. Word got out amongst the underworld that these folks had loaned their lot. Wouldn't have raised any suspicion, would have been easy to target some of these. And they got a payback.
There still are Thayers in the community. I don't know if anybody knows any of the Thayers. Two of the young boys, the younger guys, play golf with me, and I haven't talked to the one brother, but I'm curious if this is any relation, because what happened during as the Lakeshore Electric was running from Cleveland, which is largely responsible for the development of Lorain County and all these properties due west, people started coming out to Avon Lake for vacation. There was no smog. It was country. Right? They could come out here, they could spend a day at Beach Park, go to that dance hall, they could bowl. There was a small carnival there was a merry-go-round, there were ball diamonds, and they would come out and spend time, and they ended up going, wow, I really like it out here. Let's get a house. And all those cottages that you see at Stop 45, those were where people came to spend summer. So Avon Lake was a summer playground, if you will.
Tony, what year was this, approximately?
I don't know. I'm serious. No, I don't.
My mother grew up in Detroit, and they used to come on vacation to Avon Lake, but she didn't have any specifics.
Well, it was probably in the 30s.
Yeah, she was born in 29. So.
Mm-hmm. One of the houses I owned in 45 when we first got married, we were remodeling it, and I tore a wall out in a bathroom, and there was a date, 1926. So that house was built. And by the way, tangentially, the power plant, the waterworks, they were all built by the Lakeshore Electric Railway, and they were built in 1926 along, that was all to support this railroad that went from Cleveland eventually all the way to Detroit.
But wait, there's more.
No.
Yes.
You mean there's more dead people?
Yes, washed up on shore, same approximate location. These were two young men. Miles Mandrick was one of them. And who was the other one? John Snowbrick. One was 20 years old, one was 23 years old. These were young guys. Bodies are washed up on shore with their, go ahead. I know you like this part.
What?
Their skulls.
Oh, their skulls broke in, yeah, caved in.
And their little rowboat floating adrift.
What was interesting, and I enjoy history, so I go back and I read and try to find stuff out. Well, there's an old-time family here in Avon Lake, the Schaefer family, that no longer, their house on North Point is no longer there. It was redone, and it's a beautiful home now. But Lulu is married to my first cousin. She told me of a story where her dad went to the house that is no longer there. You know the one on the lake that they tore down and put that beautiful, it looked like a ski lodge. I forget, what was the name of that family?
Oh,
that owned that big old...
Not the Gehring house.
Yes.
No, that would have been further west.
One of those houses. And she told me stories that her... Huh? Duber. There you go. He got invited to go to a party in the 30s. It was at this house, and when he walked in, there were two armed guards by the front door with Thompson submachine guns. So, they weren't messing around. I probably wouldn't have lived if somebody would have done me in by then.
So I don't know if we mentioned this, but part of the payback that could be imposed upon a violator of the non-compete agreements that were made between the rum runners was your family members could become targets.
Yeah, your family members, your dog, your iguana.
All that. So, just an interesting aside. After John Snowbrick's body was found washed up on shore, several weeks after that, his mother disappeared. Just disappeared, and they never found her again.
And we did, the Avon Lake Historical Society in October of, was it 2 years ago now?
2 years, yeah.
We did a reenactment of the Lake Road called An Evening at the Black Whale Inn, and we did it over at the winery, Chris Winery. I don't know if any of you got a chance to attend, but we brought a lot of these, we brought Mandrick and Snowbrick back to life, and June, you were part of that. It was a great, yeah, Carol, where are you at? Carol was, and Carol, you were Carrie Nations. So anyway, just keeping it going.
Agitations.
Huh? Agitations.
So, okay, this is a story that absolutely fascinates me. This young lady, beautiful young lady, 23 years old. She worked as a governess, housemaid at a lovely home in Cleveland for a wealthy family. Her family lived in Lorraine. She came home to visit family, was there for a couple weeks, and then she disappeared. Her body is found washed up on the shore, right about where the boat launch is at the end of Miller Road, found by a 12-year-old boy. An investigation ensues, of course. And initially, the verdict is murder because she was obviously beaten and battered before her body hit the ground at the bottom of the cliff. As the investigation continues, though, it takes an abrupt turn, and all of a sudden, law enforcement decides, no, it was a suicide.
It was a suicide. Yeah, she beat herself up. I think the next slide has the cliff, right?
And threw herself off.
She threw herself off that cliff and managed to, die. And she did this while she was alive, so pretty cool.
Her mother was livid, insisted there was absolutely no reason her daughter would have committed suicide, and wanted authorities to pursue an investigation of murder. And the authorities were, nah, we don't think so. We think it's probably more like suicide. It was pretty much left unresolved. Or was it? So, as I'm researching Eva Volpe, because this whole thing fascinated me, I discovered that, does this look familiar? This is your relative, Marshall Carl Tomanek, who made that infamous bust single-handedly. You know where he made that bust? Right down there at the end of Miller Road.
Stop 60, was it 69, 70?
Mm-hmm, 69. And he did arrest two of the men who were supposed to have delivered quite a sizable haul. And look at the names of one of them, if you can see it. Thomas Volpe. Was there a connection? I don't know, but I suspect that there was. And remember what we just told you about paybacks on family members? Was this one of them? I will let you draw your own conclusion. You can either decide that this woman beat herself up and threw herself off of a cliff, or you can question whether or not there was something more going on here.